Hi guys, welcome back to Random Lifestyle Vlog and welcome to the second part of my whole eyeshadow palette collection video. So as I mentioned before, this is kind of like a pilot episode to a new series that's going to be all about eyeshadow palettes, and just to start it, I'm going to show you my whole eyeshadow palette collection. So obviously you want to see the first part, it's going to be linked below in the description box and also at the end of this video. So check that out too. And today I'm not sure if I'm going to do any decluttering. I don't think I will, but I'm going to show you the remaining bits of my eyeshadow palette collection. Okay, so if you want to find out what else is in my eyeshadow palette collection, keep watching this video. Okay, so before we start, just a quick reminder, this video is for you to kind of find out what is in my collection. If you find something that's interesting, that you would like to see up close, just let me know down in the comments below. I'll make a separate video about that, about this particular eyeshadow palette with all the swatches. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with this eyeshadow palette, and I'll tell you if it's worth the money or not. Alright, so let's just get straight to the point because this video is probably going to be long. So I'm going to start this time with a little collection. This is my Natasha eyeshadow palette collection. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. Let's start with the biggest one, which is the Natasha Gold palette. And look how gorgeous these shades are. I mean, I think this is probably the most beautiful gold palette that I've ever seen. I mean, I just love these shades. Next up, I have Sunrise palette, which is beautiful reds, pinks and oranges. I do love shades like that. I do love these colors, especially in summertime. So yeah, this one is really gorgeous. And lastly, we have a Glam palette, which is perfect everyday palette. Probably the most suitable for like daytime out of 3 of them, and look how gorgeous these shades are. And then I have 3 minis and 1 bigger 5-pan palette. These look quite cheap, but they actually don't feel like it. It's quite sturdy, the plastic is quite thick, which is good. Still, it doesn't really look super expensive, does it? So this is palette number 2. And I also have the 3 tiny ones. This one is Love palette. This is the newest one, one of the newest ones. This is Mini Retro palette. And this one is Mini Zendo palette. So since Natasha is quite pricey, let's do something much more affordable now. My Sleek eyeshadow palette collection, I think if you're on a budget, these are gorgeous. I mean, they're quite well pigmented. They don't last like for ages, but they last long enough. And the colors are so nicely composed. So I'm going to show you. This is the Vintage Romance. This is how it looks. Do love those shades, and I actually kept these 3 palettes because I don't have any other palettes with similar shades, so yeah, that's what makes them quite unique. Then we have the Bad Girl. Look how dark the shades are, and believe me or not, I do like that type of shades when I'm going out. I do like to have like a really dark makeup sometimes, so yeah, that's something a little bit different. And then we have Garden of Eden, and look at these shades, they're just gorgeous. I do love the greens with like cool tone bronzes and browns. It's just perfect. So now I have a couple of doubles. So let's start with Iconic. 2 Iconic palettes. This one is Day to Slay, which is this palette. Really pretty wearable shades. I think you can create an everyday look and also a party look if you want to, but nothing too crazy about it. They're quite toned down, really pretty though. And the next one is Nice to Naughty, and this is Perfect Springtime palette. I think those shades will be perfect for like a wedding makeup too. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's more for like an everyday use, but you could probably create something more party or like nighttime suitable too. There are like a couple of like more intense, brighter shades. So yeah, that's quite cool. Next up, I have 2 Urban Decay Naked palettes. This is Honey and this is Cherry. Yeah, this is how they look. So this is how they look inside. So my problem with these palettes is that this doesn't give me honey, this doesn't give me cherry. They're pretty, but I don't really get why they're actually named this way. for some reason, I mean, I do love the shades, but for some reason I don't really use them that much. So that's probably the reason why I'm not going to purchase any more Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes. They just don't really speak to me that much. Although I find them pretty, and I think they're quite good quality, although not my favorite. So yeah, I have 2 of them, and I think that's probably the end of my Urban Decay collection, unless they will create something that will be so amazing that I will have to buy it. But for now, that's it. Next up, I have 2 Miami palettes, and they both look like mirrors. They have this mirror type of like finish here. Talking about mirrors, look how big the mirrors here are. That's actually quite cool. And the shades are, this is Matte Muse, so this is how it looks. It's very pretty. The only problem I have with it, it's all matte. I am not a massive fan of like all matte palettes. I do prefer something more shimmery in it, so that's probably the reason why I don't really use this palette that much. But I'm going to try and do it. And this one is Millennial. And Millennial has some shimmers too, so as you can already tell, it's been used much more than the previous one. So next up is Tardis Pro by Tarte. And this eyeshadow palette has a nice big mirror too. And the shades are mostly mattes too, but there are some shimmers on this side, which is quite cool because, as I mentioned, I'm not a massive fan of hot matte eyeshadow palettes, and this is quite versatile. You can create a couple of eye looks just using this palette, so that's actually quite cool. I like this one. I also like the fact that it's mostly cool toned. Most eyeshadow palette seems to be like warm toned for some reason. This one has rather cool tones, so yeah. Next up we have Venice Fling, and this is by Bailey Sarian and Estate. And this palette, I didn't get to use it yet. This is very summery, I would say even tropical eyeshadow palette. I got it, I think early autumn last year, so I didn't get the chance to use it, but I can't wait to use it this summer in the UK, because I'm probably not going to be in any tropical environment, but yeah, I'll just have like a palm on my balcony, so I'll just sit there and pretend that I'm on holiday. Anyway, next up we have Moods by Laura Sanchez. And this is how the packaging looks. I'm just going to open it and show it to you. See? That's quite cool, huh? The palette itself is actually interesting, but not super easy, I would say. The shades are quite bright and they are not really close to each other, so you have to have some skills to create a makeup with that. That's in my opinion at least. So yeah. So let's do some Too Faced now. I have 3 eyeshadow palettes from Too Faced. I'm going to start with a chocolate chip. This is all matte eyeshadow palettes. I do like the shades, but then again, this is all matte eyeshadow palette. So, as you already know, not a fan of all mattes. But it smells nice. It smells like chocolate, so that's always a good thing when Too Faced comes into play. Okay, then we have this one. This is one of my newest additions to my collection. This is Too Faced Pumpkin Spice. As the name suggests, this is autumnal palette, but look at it. I think this eyeshadow palette is actually perfect for the whole year. This side is perfect for spring. This one is more autumnal, wintry. But still, I don't think this is the typical autumnal palette. I think it can be used all year round. And the last Too Faced eyeshadow palette looks like a toy. It's actually quite soft too. It has like a soft foamy thing here. And it has a unicorn and a rainbow, so yeah. This one is Too Faced Life Save Festival Peace, Love and Unicorns. And this is how it looks inside. And don't be fooled by these like pale type of tamed down tones. This palette is pigmented like crazy, and these shades turned out to be much more bright on the skin than you would actually expect. But yeah, it's really pretty and I can't wait to use it a little bit more this spring and summer. So let's do some Charlotte Tilbury now. I just keep my Charlotte Tilbury palette in this pretty box. So yeah, I don't really have any big palettes from Charlotte Tilbury. I have I think 9 quads and 2 more palettes I'm going to show in a second. So first of them is not 100% an eyeshadow palette. This is more like a, yeah, this is an instant look in a palette, Stoned Rose Beauty. So this one contains, as you can see, an some eyeshadows here, a highlighter, bronzer, and some blush. So you have the whole look in a palette, which is actually quite cool. Next up I have a Charlotte Darling palette, a mini. This is how it looks. So according to this palette's description, this should help you create 2 eye looks. The 3 shades here will create 1 eye look and the other 3 will create another eye look. But I just tend to mix them all together and just create something different. Yeah, because I just prefer it this way. And then my whole 9 quads, I'm going to show you, open and show you these. So we have the Queen of Glow here and the Vintage Vamp here. So this is the Rebel and this one is Exaggerize. So here we have Copper Charge, which is this one, and then we have Glamour Muse with this Unexpected Purple. Charlotte Tilbury usually goes for like very natural shades, and this one's quite bright, but yeah, I like it. Here we have 2 versions of Pillow Talk. This is like a regular classic Pillow Talk, and this is the Pillow Talk Luxury Palette of Pops. Pretty much similar shades, just this one is all shimmers. And it's a little bit more intense, I would say. This one is like pale. And the last one is another luxury palette of Pops. This is Dazzling Diamonds. And then I have a few more individual palettes to show you. So let's start with this one. This is Rose Metals palette, Velvet 59. And yeah, gorgeous tonal shades. Then we have Wonder Beauty Wondrous Seascape. So this one is actually, it just makes me think summer, beach, holidays. So this is a perfect summer palette. Next up we have the Beauty Crop Downgazing palette. So this is the beautiful reds. As I mentioned before, I do love reds and oranges and pinks in my makeup. So yeah, this one is really cool. Hip Dot Zion Pressed Pigment palette, and this is another one in similar shades. A little bit more cool toned, but yeah, still really pretty. Next up I have Elizabeth Ardell, and this is, I'm not sure what the name of the palette is. It could be Romantic Rose, but I think Romantic Rose is actually the name of this shade here. And look how pretty it is. It is really like cool toned bronzes and browns, and it's like everything seems to have this like a pinkish hue to the shades. So it's really pretty. And then the last eyeshadow palette in my collection is Shayna B Miami, and this is how it looks. It doesn't seem very like spectacular in terms of shades, but the pigmentation is crazy here, so it looks lovely when you're just putting this on your eyelid. So yeah, definitely a good one. So this is everything in my eyeshadow collection. It's growing, obviously it's growing. I just keep getting new eyeshadow palettes in my subscription boxes, and I might purchase one here and there. So if you're interested in anything in particular, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try and create a video for you with all the swatches, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of my experience with this particular palette. So if you'd like to see the first part of the video, because you haven't yet, it's going to be in one of those videos on my left. I encourage you to watch this. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for spending this time with me. And I'm going to see you very soon. Take care. Bye.